Oktoberfest. I finally did it. I got hold of all the big 6 Oktoberfest beers. And by the big 6, you mean the breweries that are allowed to serve their beers at the original Oktoberfest in Munich. So it's Augustiner-Bräu, Löwenbräu, Spaten, Hofbräu, Paulaner and Hacker-Pschorr. Those are also the only ones that can actually call their beers Oktoberfestbiers. So if we look to the side, we have Weihenstephaner, Ayinger and Wagner, and they are called Festbiers and Fest-Märzen. That, of course, doesn't mean they can't be just as delicious. Also, I'm a bit sick, as you might be able to hear. I hope my voice won't crack too much during this video. Either way, I'm really looking forward to this, and I know the beers will make me feel more healthy. Usually in Sweden we get these 4 Oktoberfest beers and never Hacker-Pschorr or Augustiner-Bräu. So this year I ordered them both from Germany through 2 different web shops. Pretty complicated and expensive, but I feel that at least for 1 year I need to make a video where all the 6 beers are included. Last year, one of my favorite Festbiers was the Zollerhof, but sadly it never reached Sweden this year. Voice crack. Instead I ordered Wagner, which I hadn't tried before, just to get 9 beers. Because this time I won't drink all the beers in the same session. It's really cool in the beginning to see all the beers and taste them at the same time, but I always seem to lose control. I got a lot of good advice and suggestions from you viewers, especially after my last video, the one with Czech beer, where I really lost control. So this time I will instead do kind of a tournament, also a suggestion from you. So 4 different battles, 4 different days, so I can refresh in between, which means 3 beers day 1, 3 beers day 2, and 3 beers day 3. And then the 4th day it will be the final between the 3 winners. And I will appoint a winner during each battle, but I will also, for once, rank the beers, kind of add my own points system to them, so that, you know, maybe in one battle we have 3 really good beers, and in the next battle 3 pretty bad beers. So I will probably take the 3 beers with the highest points and then put them in the final battle. So now I will include my son again, who will pour the beers, so I don't know which beer is in which glass, and yeah, let's go. Alright, we are back. 3 beautiful beers. I will take some notes actually for my own memory and for the points, so I can compare. There are only 2 beers, I think, from memory that are a bit darker. I could be mistaken though, but these are pretty pale, all 3 of them. I'm getting really hungry now. I actually have food on the stove, which I will eat immediately afterwards. But let's start with number 1 then. I don't know how much I will sniff these beers. You really should just chug them, right? But the first one, it smells like it should. You can smell a little bit more of that boozy punch, which is like, to me, usually kind of bitter orange combined with some almond paste. Smells pretty zesty as well, but not too herbal, or should I say not herbal enough maybe. But let's see how it tastes, of course, the important thing. Prost, cheers, skål. All right, really bready, grainy rye bread kind of aftertaste, but that could be because it's my first beer as well. After a while you don't notice that as clearly as in the beginning. Lots of lemon, mostly lemon, little bit of zesty qualities, but pretty dry. Has a little bit of sweeter honey kind of flavor or feeling, but not a lot of the other fruits. I don't get a lot of apricot or orange, bitter orange. It's pretty plain somehow. This could actually be Paulaner. I bought the bottle from Germany because we only got the can this year. This is what the can looks like. And this one I've tried, and it was pretty dry and boring in the same way as I conceive this one. The bottle could be different though, but yeah, for a first beer, not super pleasant. So let me make some notes. Yeah, I'm actually going to put the Paulaner beer mug here for my memory, because this aftertaste isn't very pleasant compared to most of the other Oktoberfest beers. It dies off and it's just kind of dry and sour. I think this is Paulaner. The start is still pretty nice with a bit of zesty qualities, but it kind of dies off, and yeah, I don't like that lingering aftertaste. I will give it 4 out of 10. A little bit of water in between, and also white fluffy bread. All right, number 2. Yeah, more of a floral, herbal aroma. Kind of, I think of spring flowers, spring bushes, that spring feeling, which I really love in German beers. Zesty, fruity, lemon, sweet lemons. This smells really promising. I'm getting my hopes back up. Let's taste it though. Prost, cheers, skål. All right, more of the deep flavors, if you know what I mean. More apricot, bitter orange, a tiny bit of almond paste, but this is not smooth and sweet. This is pretty punchy, spicy, kind of bitter in that lemon seed kind of way. It has a bit of that toasty quality, but mostly you get more of a grainy kind of rye bread malt base. Now, I've only tasted Wagner once, but from memory, this is kind of what I experienced. It's punchy, it's spicy, pretty dry. It's one of these fest beers that is a nice contrast, a nice refresher, but maybe a bit too spicy, sour, dry for having, 4 or 5 of them. But compared to number 1, which I thought was Paulaner, this is also dry, sour. I don't mind the aftertaste. I know it's punchy, spicy, but somehow it's also more pleasant. It's something, that kind of artificial lemon sourness that you can find in some fake lemon liquid. I don't find it here, but more in the previous one. Spicy lemon, bitter orange, toasty and grainy rye bread. Dry, bitter, sour, herbal aftertaste. Maybe that's the difference. There's something there that is lingering together with that sour bitterness. It's a bit of the herbs, maybe also a bit of the malt base lingering. So it's a much more interesting aftertaste. But it's still not the perfect Oktoberfest beer, in my opinion. More of an interesting refresher when you grow tired of the regular beers. So we'll give it 6 out of 10. I don't have a Wagner beer glass. I should get that, actually, but for now I will just keep in my and your memory that this probably is Wagner. Number 3. An aroma that doesn't tell me very much. It's mostly lemon again, which makes me think this is one more of those big 6, more macro brews, if you want to be mean. But, Löwenbräu maybe as well were a bit similar to Paulaner. But sometimes when you actually taste the beer, you get surprised. Yeah, maybe something more vaguely fruity like apricot or orange, but I get mostly lemon. Hopefully the taste will be better than the aroma. Prost, cheers, skål. Alright, that's pretty pleasant actually. Smooth, soft is my first impression. Zesty start. Not a lot of bitterness in the end, but sometimes that builds up and after a while you notice the bitterness. Yeah, I really like this one. It's fruity, it has more kind of meat fruity sweet orange, which you don't find in many of the Oktoberfest beers. A very nice, soft, crusty malt base, like it's, toasty. It's a little bit of butter feeling in there, and smooth and sweet in the aftertaste as well, which makes me think that this is Weihenstephaner. That is, I think, the smoothest of all the Festbiers I've tried. Yeah, it's sweet orange. It's like, clementine or mandarin or some of those more sweeter types of orange. Also a nice, lingering, soft herbal note. It's a little bit like you have taken a bite of some sort of pie, herbal pie. A tiny bit of sour lemon bitterness, but it's very soft compared to the other beers. Yeah, I'm going to put the Weihenstephaner glass there. It has a little bit of a peppery aftertaste. I'm thinking of the rating. Is it 8 or 9 of 10? I really like this one. Maybe is it too smooth? Could it be too smooth? Maybe after a while I would long for more of a bite, but I'm not sure. No, I did actually write 8 out of 10, but I will give it 9 out of 10. So this will definitely be this tournament battle's winner. So, of course, you already know which beers I guessed correctly, but now I'm going to go to the fridge and get the bottles and see for myself. Number 3 is Spaten. I thought it was Weihenstephaner. Did I like Spaten that much? This is why it's good to make blind tests now and then to challenge yourself. Now for these 2 last beers, my son forgot to put on the number. I kind of pre-write these sticky notes so he could put it on the bottles, but he forgot to do that, so he doesn't know which beer is in which glass. But let's see, I guessed Paulaner at number 1, so that is probably in that glass. Number 2, I guessed Wagner, and this is Augustiner-Bräu. So if we pour some in the Paulaner beer mug, we can compare the two and find out for sure. Okay, from the blind test beer mug. Yeah, really grainy, dry, lemony. Also actually a little bit toasty, crusty now. Maybe also a good contrast beer. Let's compare with the Paulaner mug. This is much colder, of course. It wasn't spot on. We'll compare with number 2 just to be on the safe side. I need to be honest here. It was harder than I thought to identify which beer is which because of the temperature difference. But when I try Paulaner from the bottle from the fridge, I get the same impressions as what I wrote about Paulaner. Dry lemon, dry rye bread, not pleasant aftertaste. So I think and hope this is correct, but either way, Spaten is the one with the highest points and the winner of this battle, and the other 2 are out of the contest. I didn't think Augustiner-Bräu would be so low on the list, but so 1 beer battle out of the way. I see you in the next one the next day. Okay, day 2, and I think I feel a little bit better. I told you the beers would make me healthy again. So 1 beer is a bit darker, and now I realize the Wagner I guessed on in the first battle is darker, I think, even though it's not a typical Märzen. I forgot about that. That was a mistake. So it could either be Wagner or Ayinger. That's the only real Fest-Märzen. I have included, as you saw in the beginning, Hacker-Pschorr, but it's the Hacker-Pschorr Oktoberfestbier, not the Oktoberfest-Märzen. So they make 2 different. I tried to buy the Märzen as well, but it was out of stock. But this year I felt that I actually prefer the paler Oktoberfest beers. Next year it might be different, who knows. But let's throw ourselves on these beers now, start sniffing number 1. It's easy to get fooled by the color. I don't think there are much syrupy notes in here. Mostly citrusy, zesty notes. Smells delicious. Herbal, peppery, everything you want. Some sort of freshly baked bread as well. It really smells delicious. I can't remember. This should be the Wagner in that case. But we'll see how it tastes, of course. So, Prost, cheers, skål. Very nice. It's not as spicy as I remember the Wagner, But then again, this could be the second time I guess Wagner wrong. It's pretty smooth, but has a kind of dry, grainy malt base in the finish. Mostly lemon, but also some bitter orange. A little bit of zesty notes in the beginning. Yeah, you find some sweeter orange meat notes in there as well when you start looking. Pretty grassy, peppery. It's just a little bit softer than I remember from my first and only tasting of this beer, if it is Wagner. On Untapped, I wrote grassy and pretty bitter. The aroma fools you, so that's true. Bitter orange with zest, apricot, toasty and grainy rye bread, dry almond paste, spicy herbs. Dry and herbal finish it has. Attitude. I like it, but not my favorite. That is what I wrote a few days ago. I don't know if I get that much apricot though. Yeah, okay, maybe there it is, kind of juicy apricot that you could kind of mix up with bitter orange and sweeter orange. And the more I drink of it, the more I find that kind of more crusty or almond pasty kind of malt base. But it is more subdued and dry somehow. And I'll give it 6 out of 10, the same as I gave the previous beer battles beer I thought was Wagner, but turned out to be Augustiner-Bräu. It's a beer I enjoy, and it's nice as a refresher, but really the perfect Oktoberfest style for me is not really this. Hopefully one of the 2 others. So a little bit of fluffy white bread in between. And let's sniff beer number 2. Back to the more traditional, or the bigger breweries, it feels like. Initially, I thought, ooh, this is Löwenbräu. Mostly lemon. Pretty nice floral aroma, actually. I think when I made Oktoberfest comparisons previous years, I kind of call this aroma cleaning liquid, and I'm trying to get away from that because it's such a strange reference. I guess it's more like herbal, floral, honey kind of aroma, and also something vaguely fruity, like some sort of citrus fruit. But let's taste it. Prost, cheers, skål. Okay, pretty nice. It's pretty light. Doesn't really have a personality. It's light but still sweet, fruity, zesty. You have lemon with zest, some sort of sweeter orange, a bit of that juicy apricot in the background. What about the malts? A soft, pleasant, cookie doughy, more than dry and grainy kind of malt base. Yeah, soft, smooth. I remember from Löwenbräu that I often get kind of a mineral water kind of note, and I don't think I really get that in this beer. The aftertaste is disappearing as well, as it is in Löwenbräu from memory, but this might be another beer. I think I'll guess Hacker-Pschorr. This is my only Hacker-Pschorr glass. And I wrote light and smooth apricot, orange and bitter orange with zest, almond paste, spicy, lax in the aftertaste. It kind of disappears a little bit, or it doesn't have the elements I like a herbal note and a bit of the crusty malt base still lingering. So I'll give it 7 out of 10. We'll see if this last beer is a banger. If not, this second battle is probably the weakest of the three. We might have a bit more attitude this time. It is maybe not the most pleasant of the three. It just feels like it will do something. Lemon, a floral note again. Yeah, very herbal and nice in that way. I get those spring flowers, spring bush kind of memories coming back to me again. Do I also get kind of almond paste, almost marzipan kind of notes already in the aroma? This could actually go either way. It could be really good or really disappointing. So let's find out. Prost, cheers, skål. Oh, it wasn't what I hoped for. This time it might actually be Löwenbräu. It's pretty dry. It has a little bit of zesty qualities, but not really the sweeter, fruity meat kind of ingredients in the pot. Also more of a tannic black tea kind of bitterness, which I don't appreciate. But it's strange because when I say these mean things and then take another sip with the very low expectations, sometimes it kind of bends up again and oh, maybe it isn't so bad after all. The brain is strange. I think it might be just it's too dry, even from the start. I think I also need to break away from the strategy that I decide on a beer that I think it is and then rate it accordingly. Because when I'm wrong, it's more embarrassing, right? If it isn't Löwenbräu, it shouldn't affect my review of it. But I also don't want to sit here too long and linger on my decisions. So I'm going to guess Löwenbräu. And the more I drink it, the less disappointed I am. Oh man, beer is strange. It could be the temperature as well. So it seems like it's a pretty weak team up. But let me go through them one more time. Maybe the darker color actually does something. It's not syrupy like in my mind the Ayinger Fest-Märzen is, but it has a nicer nuttiness than I noticed the first time. How about number 2, which I thought was Hacker-Pschorr? It's really smooth. It's like a warm blanket. Wait, could it be Weihenstephaner? No, I don't think it's fruity enough for that. No, I'll stick to my guns there, or whatever the saying is, and guess Hacker-Pschorr. And I think I'll stay at 7 out of 10. It's still a pretty good rating, right? And then what I'm guessing is Löwenbräu, one more time. Yeah, it's for me it's too dry. I think it's the main point. Did I put the rating? I didn't, right? That will have 4 out of 10. Okay, let me get the bottles. All right, this is interesting. Okay, Löwenbräu, that was the correct guess. I'm so confused now. I didn't get any of the syrupy notes. I was so sure this wasn't the Ayinger Fest-Märzen. And maybe the most disappointing discoveries was that it actually was the Weihenstephaner Festbier. I thought from memory you should have more of the sweet orange and so on. Yeah, you could see I enjoyed it. It was soft, smooth, and it is the winner of this beer battle number 2. But I thought I would recognize it. So if I look at the results so far, Spaten is actually in the lead, which I thought was Weihenstephaner. And number 2 so far is Weihenstephaner, which I thought was Hacker-Pschorr. But I love to learn this way, and it also makes me more humble. It's so much harder to guess beers and find all the nuances than you think. Now I'm going to enjoy my dinner together with these beers. Who knows, maybe Löwenbräu is the best beer to pair with the food. And I'll see you tomorrow. All right, the third day, the third battle. And now it's getting easier to guess the beers because we only have 3 left. We have my previous favorite, Hofbräu, and then Hacker-Pschorr and Wagner, which both of them I've only tried once before. And actually, the darker color from Wagner, as I remember it, was darker than... I mean, this is maybe the darkest one, but the difference isn't that big. So it will probably not be as easy as I think, as usual. But no time to waste. Let's sniff number 1. It feels like coming home. It's safe, it's... how do you say that? Recognizable? I instantly go, okay, this is Hofbräu, it must be. Very zesty, floral, citric, orange, also apricot. That a bit sweeter almond paste, marzipan, kind of a note in there as well. It's herbal and kind of softly grassy as well. It could be that it is the first beer of the day, so I'm more sensitive, also more thirsty. I really hope the taste won't disappoint now, when the aroma was that promising. Prost, cheers, skål. All right, it wasn't disappointing, I wouldn't say, but not quite what I expected. I'm not at all sure about this being Hofbräu anymore. A very nice malt base. It's a bit crusty, nutty, and then a kind of more oomphy, grainy, rye bread kind of finish. Really nice. It has a zesty and sweet fruit meaty start. Orange, lemon zest, but it's very soft. I want more. I think this is a nice beer, but it's soft and smooth in the same way as Weihenstephaner Festbier. I would say maybe together with Weihenstephaner, it's the most crushable because it's so soft and smooth. You could easily have 2 or 3 in a row. But I think for the perfect Oktoberfest beer, I want a bit more power, more spicy pepperiness, and a more lingering herbal aftertaste. And the rating will be the same as for the Weihenstephaner, which I thought was Hacker-Pschorr. Hacker-Pschorr Oktoberfestbier, mind you, not the Hacker-Pschorr Oktoberfest-Märzen, which is darker and I imagine a bit more syrupy. And that rating is 7 out of 10. A little bit of liquid on the table. My son really gave them a good pour. Good head on all of these. Let's see how it smells. Another familiar aroma, I think. This could have more punch. It feels like it. It's something. It's more floral than the previous one, and also has more of that, which I try to stop saying, but that cleaning liquid. And that could mean it has higher alcohol. I think I get some apricot and more kind of a drier sensation overall. Something more dry in the malt base as well. Like drier, rustic bread with nuts included in the dough. The aroma is actually less inviting than the previous one, but maybe the taste triumphs. Prost, cheers, skål. Okay, more spicy, more peppery, more grassy, more of a lingering, doughy, almost buttery malt base in the finish, where it usually dries out and gets really grainy. This is more soft, crunchy, crusty. And you know, I love a nice lingering aftertaste. Lots of fruits in the beginning, a little bit of zest, but mostly that fruit meat, kind of juicy apricot, orange. Yeah, this is what I sometimes describe as arugula, because it's both grassy and peppery, like that leafy green. So I think this is Hofbräu, but it's also a bit softer than I remember it from last time, but also more punchy. The aftertaste is more scratchy than the previous one. Lovely malt base. It's also mixed with some more grainy or almost burnt rye bread kind of notes, but also has that, almost cookie doughy, lovely lingering malt base. It's just, I remember it as being even more fruity. It feels just a tad bit too dry, maybe. So I thought as soon as I would discover the Hofbräu, I would go 10 out of 10. But I don't think that will be the rating. But this is also why I love this beer, if it is this beer. that the more you drink, the more aspects you discover. So I just said, maybe it's a bit too dry. And then in the next sip, you realize how sweet and fruity it is. Strange. Also, I'm becoming more and more sure of the Hofbräu guess is that you go on this taste journey more than any other Munich beer, in my opinion. You start out fruity, sweet, zesty, and then kind of goes through two more layers and ending up in that more grainy malt base in the end. You kind of get that cookie doughy malt base in the middle together with even more fruity notes, and then it slowly dries out into that grainy and also herbal malt base. It's really a beer to marvel over, I think, and I hope it actually is Hofbräu. I will give it 9 out of 10. So I guess the same rating as the beer I thought was Weihenstephaner, but actually was Spaten. And so finally the last beer, number 3. Okay. It actually is more, maybe not syrupy, but almost, and nutty. And I don't remember Wagner being this way. It felt like the color kind of fooled you. But again, I was dead wrong about Ayinger Fest-Märzen, so I don't trust myself. Also pretty floral, herbal. It has hints of kind of dried fruits. Yeah, like dried apricots, maybe. Together with more sweet nuts somehow. Smells kind of sweet, soft, cushy, but it might taste another way. Let's see. Prost, cheers, skål. It's nutty. It's not as sweet as it smelled. The first sip was actually, I got kind of almost boozy note just in the beginning. I don't think it's that strong though. Yeah, it has some kind of more juicy apricot, not a lot of zest. It is still pretty dry, this beer, and the finish really dries out. It's both grainy, kind of drier kind of rye bread, and also kind of, dry nuts, if you know what I mean. I can't remember. Is it kind of walnuts? That way it tastes, that dry, almost a little bit bitter taste. Pretty bitter, actually. Spicy, grassy. And the bitterness also builds up over time. I think that is what I appreciate with Hofbräu, if this is Hofbräu. The bitterness isn't as tannic. The Wagner goes towards black tea kind of bitterness, and the Hofbräu is more spicy, peppery, herbal, and not so much of that black tea. I was starting to write the notes, and again, when I talked about that dry and more bitter end, the start of the beer is really nice as a contrast. I think it's very well crafted. It's a nice beer. I just don't like that black tea aftertaste. Yeah, 5 out of 10. So my guesses are Hacker-Pschorr, Hofbräu, Wagner, but I will just taste them through one last time after some fluffy white bread. Yeah, okay, I stand by everything I've said so far. The descriptions, the guesses, the ratings. Let's get the bottles. And it looks like I was correct. Number 3 is Wagner. Number 2 is the lovely Hofbräu. And number 1 is Hacker-Pschorr Oktoberfestbier, not the Oktoberfest Märzen. And that actually means that we have one winner per beer battle, 1, 2, and 3, that will meet in the final battle, because even though Hacker-Pschorr and Weihenstephaner Festbier had the same rating, now we actually have one winner per battle, and that is more fun, right? So, bye-bye Hacker-Pschorr. I would like to say before the final battle, all of these beers are pretty good. Even Löwenbräu and Paulaner. Even though they have the lowest scores, all of these beers are pretty good compared to other beers. It's just now we have the cream of the crop. We have the top 3 and we need a winner. Okay, the final battle. It looks and smells amazing again. I'm hungry but also very tired. I've been working this weekend, starting early in the morning and getting up even earlier, of course. And I have almost fell asleep a couple of times, just, lying down for a minute. But now I can feel the spirits return. And I must say, I'm glad these 3 beers are in the final battle, because all of these 3 are pretty easy to get hold of in Sweden during Oktoberfest times. If some of the more rare beers like Hacker-Pschorr or Augustiner-Bräu or maybe Wagner would have been the favorite, it would have been a lot more expensive every year. But this will also be very interesting. Hofbräu is the beer I think has kind of most unique qualities. I can often pinpoint that beer, both the Oktoberfest beer and the Helles, but Weihenstephaner and Spaten are more similar. Both are smooth, fruity, zesty, kind of sweetish, and in the previous battles I liked Spaten better than Weihenstephaner, to my surprise, but maybe that can change now in this final battle. So let's start sniffing number 1. Fruity, apricot, lemon, orange, and it is the first beer and I'm hungry, so maybe I read in too much from this, but I also get a very nice herbal, fresh baked bread kind of note as well. Kind of flory and maybe peppery as well. Judging from just the aroma, I don't know which of these beer it is. It smells amazing, but the taste is of course the important thing. So Prost, cheers, skål. Extremely smooth. So either Spaten or Weihenstephaner, I would say. Very fruity, sweet, fruit meaty, a bit zesty. Almond paste that dries out and turns into more grainy rye bread, but still pretty soft. A soft malt finish. The only thing I could complain about is the lingering aftertaste, which isn't herbal enough for me, and also has a little bit of kind of that black tea kind of bitterness. Very hard to tell if this is Spaten or Weihenstephaner though. Oh, lacks aftertaste. This might be Weihenstephaner then. It is the aftertaste that kind of ruins the experience a little bit for me. Yeah, so my first guess will be Weihenstephaner, and I will keep the rating 7 out of 10 because the start is very nice. It's just, again, that lacking aftertaste. Fluffy bread and water. Okay, number 2 then. Hofbräu. No, I shouldn't be that confident. I couldn't recognize this amongst 100 other beers, I think. It has a more boozy aroma somehow. I don't know what it is, and kind of less floral and fruity. It has those elements, but it's something else that kind of dominates. It kind of smells drier as well. And this beer, if it is Hofbräu, which we will find out in a few seconds, I guess, the aroma isn't the best thing about this beer. The taste is. So let's hopefully find out. Prost, cheers, skål. Lemony, more grassy. It didn't feel as fruit meaty as the previous one. More of that almond paste. It's kind of a beer you have to put more effort into it somehow. You don't get waves of fruitiness, but with every sip you get into more and more interesting layers. And here you have a lovely lingering aftertaste. Herbal, peppery, and it's like a bit of the malt base also is lingering on the side. It's grainy, almost burnt rye bread in the finish, but in the start, almond paste, also something crusty, toasty, lovely. And on the fruity side, it's mostly lemon and lemon zest compared to, I guess, both of these beers, which have also sweet orange and things like that. Did I get some apricot? Yeah, you have some apricot. Actually pretty juicy apricot. And it's that aftertaste that goes into the more herbal pilsners almost. Not the same level of bitterness, but it's going towards that. Yeah, so Hofbräu will be my guess, and it will still be 9 out of 10. Which means, if I'm correct, this should be Spaten. And could that be even better than Hofbräu? Because they have the same points so far. Hard to believe, but let's find out. So what is in number 3's aroma? More fruity again, sweet fruit meaty, not as peppery maybe. It could also be that this is the coldest beer and it has the most in the glass. The warmer they get and the less is still in the glass, the more aroma you tend to get in my short experience. I might also get a little bit of sweeter malts, kind of going towards cereal or maybe more like brown bread, brown juicy bread. But now comes the exciting part, the taste. Prost, cheers, skål. This is so interesting that the experience changes depending on which beer you compare the beer towards. So in the first battle, it just felt like a fruity explosions next to Wagner, which was the beer before. Now I didn't really get the same explosion, but let's investigate further. Okay, the second sip or gulp gave me more of the fruity side. I guess I can find some sweet orange, clementine type of flavors in there. Yeah, also like number one, smooth, fruity. Maybe it isn't as sweet. It has a little bit of an edge still. Aftertaste is kind of peppery actually. Did I write that down? Soft herbal aftertaste is what I wrote in the first battle about Spaten. I feel it's kind of peppery, a bit grassy, but I still like this aftertaste better than number one. It doesn't have that black tea kind of bitterness, and it has some other interesting notes lingering further. There is a bit of the grainy malt base in the end as well. Not a lot of apricot notes, more in that case towards peach actually. It could be that I didn't feel the peppery finish in the same way because the other beers in that battle also was grassy and peppery, and this was the softest one. But I am actually not sure this is Spaten. Not as sure as I thought I was going to be. And I wouldn't rate it as high either. This feels like maybe 8. 8 out of 10. Oh, this is hard because the more I drink, the more I like it. It has also herbal quality in the finish, in the aftertaste. And I can also see that I didn't mention the almond paste in the Spaten, which I don't get this time either. So that's a clue to that this might actually be Spaten after all. But if we take a bit of water, fluffy white bread, some water again, and then try number one again, while we have number three more fresh in the mind. More apricotty than I thought, comparing to number three. Not as herbal, more of a black tea kind of bitterness, not as peppery either. And yeah, more of a kind of boring aftertaste. That just confirms my thoughts on Weihenstephaner Hofbräu Spaten. It is still tasty though, and I guess after a few glasses you learn to appreciate that more tannic black tea kind of bitterness. For me, just not maybe the first beer. Let's go from number 3 to number 2. Yeah, to me the aftertaste is so important. The Hofbräu isn't a beer you take a sip of and immediately go, wow. It takes a while. It sips into the aftertaste, and then you want another sip. That is when the magic happens. Then you are back to the softer, fruity, almond pasty, crusty almost cookie doughy journey that takes you back to the drier, herbal, peppery, grainy malt base, and you just want to go back and forth. My struggle right now is with number 3. Does it get 8 points or 9? It is really nice, but yeah, it will be an 8. Just to make number 2 the winner. So my guesses are Weihenstephaner for number 1, Hofbräu number 2, and Spaten number 3. 7 points on third place, 8 points second place, the winner 9 points. It must be Hofbräu. Let's get the bottles. You have got to be kidding me. Hofbräu isn't the winner. I need to confirm. Spaten is the winner. No, can it be? Weihenstephaner was correct. I'm so confused now. So if we change the glasses, I will pour some Spaten in the Spaten glass. Will I get the same sensation? Let's do the same with Hofbräu. It's not that I don't trust my son. I'm just very confused. And some of the Weihenstephaner, why not? Is Hofbräu more fruity than Spaten? This is kind of a nightmare and the best dream ever at the same time. Because I thought I really had Hofbräu pinpointed down to the smallest details. Okay, so this makes me even more humble about my knowledge and my taste buds, and at least it's a very honest blind beer battle. But I've tasted the beers through a couple of times. It seems like every beer is on the correct place now. And apparently, Spaten is my favorite. But it's a little bit like letting a friend down. All the good things I said about Spaten, I thought I said about Hofbräu. But this is apparently the beer I like the best. It is really delicious. And it has that more fruity, sweet, zesty start that I love. And both Spaten and Hofbräu got 9 out of 10 in their respective beer battles. But in the end, Spaten was the winner. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and also your favorite fest beer. If you want to watch more German beer videos, it's a playlist over here. Thank you for watching, and remember, drink responsibly!